So, good evening, everyone. I extend a warm welcome to all present here. We are overwhelmed with the love, faith, and appreciation we have received from you all. For the people who joined us for the first class, welcome back. And for the ones who are here for the first time, thank you for joining. I'm Tolika. I am the CEO and founder of Edushire. We work for schools and majorly for the students who are in their teenage years. We design some exclusive immersive programs, boot camps, national and international workshops, master classes. Our intention is to take these students out of their comfort zones and let them learn some real life skills which will help them to learn and grow without boundaries. We are thankful to the students who took out time, first of all, because we understand that you understand the importance of these topics, which should be now discussed on the open stages like this. So, thank you to the educators who understand its importance, and to the parents, for sure, not last but the least, parents who are here and are concerned and acknowledge that the mental health of these teenage kids is as important as their physical health. So, congratulate to you all for your presence here and participation. My sincere thanks to our speaker of this evening, Federico Rossi, who took out time and is here to discuss a very important topic. As you all know, the topic for the evening is From Pressure to Purpose, Guiding Teens Towards Self-Discovery. So, Federico, thank you very much for joining us. I welcome you here, and quickly, the format of the masterclass I would discuss for you and for all the participants here. This is a 90-minute session, which is this would be a 60-minute initially presentation by Federico, and followed by a 30 minutes Q&A. We would love to take your questions, my dear students. So please come up as openly as you can. The parents, the educators, please come up with your questions. Write your questions in the Q&A, and we would also take some, video questions. So please be ready with that. The students and all the participants who are willing to come ahead, coming on the screen with their faces and the voices. We would love to hear you. Raise your hands for if you're interested in coming for the video chats, and write your questions in the Q&A. We would also request you to please, after the session, we'll run a poll. So just give your views there. And one very important thing which I would mention here from the last session, we requested our participants to give us the feedback, because your feedback is really equally important as much as your participation. We would love to hear from you, and we would like to improve in with every session we are coming up with. So so I would like to introduce you to my speaker of the evening. A small introduction which we have here for Federico. After that, the stage would be yours. All right. So we have here with us Federico Rossi. He is a clinical psychologist. He's a counselor. He's a psychotherapist in training, and integrative practitioner who blends third wave CBT approaches with psychodynamic depth. Born and raised in a family of psychotherapists and highly sensitive at heart, Federico grew up surrounded by a culture of empathy and care that shapes his life's purpose, helping people understand, embrace, and express their inner world. Before becoming a psychologist, Federico explored multiple creative paths and acting, producing, teaching, and even founding one of Italy's leading counseling school in Milan. So these, diverse experiences taught him that identity is never fixed. It is a story we rewrite continuously, and as we grow, we heal and rediscover ourselves. Today, Federico works with children, teens, and adults through his private practice in Milan and international mental health platforms. His therapeutic style integrates psychodynamic insights with evidence based modalities such as ACT, which is acceptance and commitment therapy, schema therapy. This is EMDR and mindfulness. He also believes deeply in the role of imagination as a bridge between the conscious and unconscious mind. Federico's philosophy is simple yet profound. Psychology is not about fixing people, but helping them embrace who they already are, their strengths, weaknesses, vulnerabilities, lights, and shadows. So thank you very much, Federico, for joining us. The stage is all yours now.
Thank you, Tulika. It is a pleasure, utmost pleasure of mine to be here and to speak to all of you fantastic and wonderful human beings today. So I guess I'm gonna start sharing my presentation over here. Just give me a second for technical time. I guess I'm gonna go. Can you guys hear me? Everything? All good?
Yeah, yes,
okay.
It's good.
So before we start, I want to tell you something simple. I wasn't always calm. Let's put it that way. I wasn't always centered. I wasn't always comfortable with who I was. I was, believe it or not, once a teenager myself, trying to understand myself in all possible ways, my emotions, my sensitivity, my place in the world. What helped me wasn't becoming someone else, but it was understanding how I work. And that's exactly what this masterclass is about. This isn't about fixing you. It's not about changing you. It's about learning how to take care of your mental health as something real, central, and human. So welcome to From Pressure to Purpose, guiding teens towards self-discovery. My name is Federico Rossi, and I'm here to introduce you to this topic that I think can actually be very functional for all of you, teens, parents, and anyone who wants to explore their mental health. So, why does mental health matters? Simply so, there's no health without mental health. I mean, mental health is not separate from the body. I mean, your brain is not an accessory at all. It is the operating system of your whole body. Let's imagine, for example, a river without water. That's quite confusing. I mean, a body without a brain, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Or a phone without an operating system. It simply doesn't work. So, mental health is not optional care. It is the central functioning, and it is how we run the software of our lives. The fundamental nature of mental health is part of our human experience. We cannot deny that. So, one of the basic distinctions that I want to make for us today is the difference between medicine and psychology as two different ways to take care of the patient or people, human beings, all of you guys. So while medicine often fixes, repairs, and applies a bandage, psychology is a little different. It asks you to feel, to stay with and regulate your pain, to understand yourself deeply, to transform. It's like in medicine, we can pretty much reconnect us to the relationship we have with our parents. We're grown as toddlers, this big, or this big, and we grow and we become bigger, and we need to confront ourselves with our parents, and they can help us to survive and stuff like that. So if we are feeling not good at all, we can go to them and ask them to take care of us. So they fix the problem that we have, fix quote unquote. Well, psychology is a little different. It's about taking a step further, trying to, yes, have someone who can take care of you, psychotherapy, for example, but ultimately, it is to allow you to become independent in your capacity to take care of yourself, of your emotions, of what you have from within. Think of mental health like pretty much like going to the gym or dieting. I mean, for a lot of people, it's uncomfortable. A lot of people like it, but I mean, a lot of people find it uncomfortable. Nonetheless, it's not easy every single day. It requires effort, as in you have to put your 100% in it. But ultimately, it changes how you live inside your body. And this is the game changer. Of course, in this thing that's called mental health, as in the operating system of your life, ultimately, nothing is excluded. Like pain, for example, just like, dieting or going to the gym, joy or fear or love or anger, and even hope. All is part of the human workout. All is part of life, including your existence on a day-to-day basis, of course. So I want to introduce to you guys what is the biopsychosocial model. This is a very famous theorized model shaped by three main forces. So we could say that pretty much psychology can revolve around these forces. So one, of course, is biology, as in your starting point. That is your temperament. So we'll get to this. It's how you are as an individual, emotionally speaking, from the start, how you react. We'll get to this too. As we'll get to sensitivity. I mean, sensitivity is the capacity to react to the degree to which you're hyperreactive to internal or external stimuli. So in this sense, it changes the way you live life, or the neurotype, the way your brain is structured, which has its own way and adapts to survival in time, as well as the genetic blueprint, all the biological markers, etc., etc. So the basic thing, the basic structure that you have from the start. Now, of course, then there's psychology. Psychology is part of your inner world. So how you, given your biology, process life. That is through your coping tools, so all the possibilities that you learn to feel better, to survive, to stick to reality, or the self-talk, as in the internal monologue that you have within yourself, that voice with which you read stuff out loud into your brain. Usually it's can be quite dismissive, maybe sometimes positive, sometimes judgmental. It is part of the psychology in general. The meaning, so what you interpret and how you make sense of life, of what has happened, of what happens in your day-to-day basis, as well as your memories, the accumulation of stuff that's been built within your history, within your context, that everything that has happened to you sticks together into your brain, and you try to make sense of all this accumulated amount of stuff in a very complex way. That we can observe this in dreams or in the imagination altogether, expressed through creativity, etc., etc., etc. And then, last but not least, there is the social context. This is very fundamental. I mean, this is your environment. I mean, you get a lot of influence from, of course, your family. This is a central thing. The family is a very basic but fundamental place from where a lot of stuff happens, including, unfortunately or fortunately, your traumas, which can be both negative and positive. So you can have models to look up to, but you can also have situations that are quite uncomfortable, which you should definitely talk about with a professional who can help you maybe make sense of all this. The same goes with school, another element that can be extremely, extremely influential in your life. School is, of course, a place that can be very stressful. It can be very demanding. It can be a place to express your identity and stuff like this, as well as your culture. I mean, the culture that is in the town you're in, or the region you're in, or even, the country you're in, the world. I mean, the international aspect, whatever you want to name it. I mean, these are all elements that influence, of course, who you are. The relationships, of course, friends, people you meet. Of course, to be careful is very important, or traumas, right? So events that can happen into your life that can change the course of your existence, which are to be processed and accepted, of course. So stress, which is a very medical term. So the external stuff that happens to you is pretty much what happens when these layers, so biology, psychology, and social context, are at war. So health grows when they actually learn to speak to each other. So you accept your biological element. With your psychology, you learn how to make it more functional to you, and you understand how to make sense of your social context, or put yourself in the right context altogether. So the self you're given. So you're given a version of yourself. It is fundamental to understand it, to embrace it for what it is. So uniqueness, dear everyone, is the rule. So every teenager, every single one of you that's looking at me, parent or teenager, man, woman, whatever you want to define yourself, you are born original. And this is incredible. I mean, every single one of you arrives with their own thinking, their own feeling, their own focusing, their own connecting. I mean, just like our eyes, just like our fingerprints, there's only one of you, and you're unique. And this is to be understood, and it's not easy to digest, because a lot of people tell us how we're supposed to be. They force us to think about how we are as individuals. But I mean, ultimately, you are one of a kind. And to embrace that, it is really hard. But it is fundamental for us to do it, especially when people judge us. And I mean, it's crazy enough. There's no right or wrong in the world. You're not right or wrong. There's no like black or white. There's a myriad of colors in between. You're simply different. Different as in unique. And being different is statistically normal. So fundamental aspect here, mathematics helps us to understand that we can diverge but we're always going to be unique in our nature. We can be similar, maybe be more of a dominant type of societal standard, but we're always going to be unique, and we need to find that uniqueness within ourselves. Picasso said, find your gift and give it to the world. This is Picasso is a very famous, of course, painter, born in Spain, Europe. So temperament. This is your starting line. Temperament is pretty much your biological signature of yourself, pretty much. It is how you're wired from the start. It is how you naturally react with your, emotionally speaking, nonetheless, to the world from day one, the moment you're put into, existence. For example, some are more sensitive, as in they notice details deeply. They have a deeper sensorial processing of others. And this is fundamental. I mean, it is part of your human experience. For example, some people feel sounds and emotions so strong that they just can't control it. So they need to, it's like if they have a less of a thick skin. So you feel more every single day of your life, whatever happens, and this is to be embraced. I mean, it's part of your experience. Some people are more sensitive, some people are less sensitive. For example, as we've mentioned, as I'll mention now, the high sensitivity can be, for example, expressed through the metaphor of the orchid, who thrives, for example, which is a very delicate flower, who thrives with cares and blooms big when it's taken care of. On the opposite side, a low sensitivity could be like a dandelion, which is another beautiful flower, yet it grows anywhere in many different conditions and is super resilient. So, I mean, there's no right or wrong, as we've said before. There's just difference. Some people can be more intense in the way they express themselves or the way they live life. Some can be more cautious, for example, more attentive to situations, more careful in what they do. Some people might be more spontaneous. They simply maybe trust a lot. They simply do things, and this is how they are. And this isn't to be neglected or judged. It simply needs to be embraced. And of course, by looking at life, we need to understand that we also need to protect ourselves. As in, life is life, people are people, human beings are human beings, so be careful for that. But of course, we need to embrace all this and allow us to embrace our nature, but also defend ourselves from the world out there. So the point is that you did not choose this. You did not choose who you are, and it is definitely not your fault for being who you are, all in all, and it is not an excuse for you to not do things or not express yourself, not live. This is fundamental to understand. So what we're having here is the foundational clay of your life, and this is shaped, of course, by your experiences. Is pretty much usually 50% genetic, and then you have what is the experience of life altogether. Neurodiversity, very famous or non-famous term. The opposite of what is, or the opposite of the difference is the neurotypical one. So a neurotypical person is a person whose neurocognitive development and functioning align with dominant societal standards. So the majority of people. So the thing about, neurodiversity is that some brains come with a different operating systems. I mean, operating systems are different. They can have different functionalities, but some are simply different. Some people have what's it called, autism, for example, which is a very hyper-focused, technical kind of brain that in some cases, in some severe cases, can be very difficult to live with. But it has a lot of strengths. For example, we could say that it allows you to go very deep into expertise in some elements. It is a brain that's given to you that is simply different from yours and can be very much functional for your survival in some instances, although it's the minority. So it is important to understand this part, and that it is simply living life with another brain. Let's put it that way. Then there's ADHD, attention compulsive disorder, hyperactivity. Your brain fluctuates. You have a difficulty in holding on to the attention. Maybe you're hyperactive. These both are genetic a lot, but also changed by the experience that you have of life. Then there's dyslexia, dyspraxia, many more, gifted, very high IQ, and stuff like this, and many other neurotypes. I mean, so the neurodivergent type is a person whose neurotype simply diverges from the dominant standard. As easy as that. But be very careful with these diagnoses thing, because before saying, oh yes, I'm autistic or ADHD, you might have traits. But to actually have that, you need to be very careful, because statistics say that 2 to 3% have autism and 5% have ADHD. When you identify yourself with a diagnosis like, oh my God, I have ADHD, maybe you're simply very sensitive, or maybe you have traits of that, unless it is impossible, or simply you're bored, you don't like what you're doing. Or autism, maybe you have a hard time dealing with emotions. Maybe your brain has formed in a way to protect itself. Maybe you're below threshold, but I mean, rather than just identifying fully with it, even though it might be reassuring, be sure to get a proper diagnosis from a professional. And even in that case, you simply have a different kind of brain, different functionality. That's how you work. And I mean, every neurodivergent person is unique, just like as any other neurotypical. It is definitely not a defect. And in any case, you are not your neurodiversity, of course. You don't go around saying, hi, I'm Jamal. I'm autistic. I'm ADHD. No, you go around and you say, hi, I'm Jamal, or whatever. And I have ADHD. And if you want to tell them, you don't have to tell them, or autism, you're a person before being whatever you might have that makes you different from the dominant societal standards. Who decides what's cool, what's good? Who knows? We don't care about that. What we care about is embracing ourselves. Mark my words here. This is fundamental. So the cool part about this is that strengths shine in the right context. So, for example, an ADHD can be very bored, can distract himself or herself very easily. You can be hyper focused when you find something that you love. You throw yourself in and you just do the best you can. And this is cool. I mean, same goes for autism. You might find something that you can go so deep in and so technical that it could be remarkable. I mean, some of the most incredible people in the world have ADHD or autism too, or one or the other. I mean, the world is varied, but as they are unique, you are unique too. So understanding your wiring is the first step to building your best life. Psychopathology. So now we're getting a little bit more into psychology, as in we can define psychopathology by going back to the origin of the term. The Greeks defined it as psyche, mind, soul, inner life, and pathos, that is suffering, experience, and logia, the study of course. So psychopathology can be seen as the study of mental suffering and disorder. So technically speaking, it is the suffering of the soul. Why should we bring this up? Because, of course, you're born with a temperament, you're born with a biology, maybe a neurodiversity, and then eventually in time, given the biopsychosocial model, you might develop or not psychopathologies. So before, continuing this in general, it is fundamental to understand that we all, as human beings, have human traits. Some might be more perfectionists. That might be maybe an obsession, right? Rumination. Some might be anxious. So be fundamentally scared, maybe about stuff, have this anxiety very strong. Some might be suspicious with a little, maybe some paranoia traits. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe somebody's fault. Some people might have mood swings, throwing them from one side to another. I mean, the brain is quite complex. It has a lot of parts, and these parts are ways for our brain to exist. They are part of our human experience. Of course, when we embrace them instead of just neglecting them, if we're not able to do it, we should do it with a professional, by speaking to the right people. Beware with whom you confront yourself with. Try to speak maybe with adults who are aware of their emotions and stuff like that. But I mean, these series of human traits become a psychopathology when biology and life experience interact to make them rigid, persistent, and source of significant distress. By psychopathology, I'm talking about the famous diagnosis like depression, major depression, which is normal to have at any age. Even when you're 2 to 3, it can happen. I mean, at 15, 14, 17, you can be depressed, or you might have a bipolar disorder. I don't know. You might have mood swings from one day to another. From 1 week to another. Maybe you're depressed for a week, then you're up and all in the next week, or you might have intrusive thoughts that can alter your perception, or you might see things to some degree, or you might be very anxious. I mean, schizophrenia, obsessive compulsive disorder, the obsessive thoughts. So be very careful. It is important to embrace these signals as part of your human experience, telling you that you need to get support, maybe from someone, or you need to listen to what they're saying in a very loving and understanding way. If they are very severe and the quality of your life diminishes, go to a professional. They will help you. So psychology's role, of course, is to help you regulate, relate, and live life with a greater quality and ease. The cool part about this is that you can train your brain. So growing up is not about becoming someone else. Oh my God, you got to be an adult. Oh, I got to change my life. No, it's about upgrading how you use what you already have. So mark my words here. Your intelligence can be trained. Maybe you think, oh my God, I'm not good enough. I'm not this, I'm not that. Screw that. I mean, the important thing is that you can train yourself, but I mean, the point is to embrace yourself first and go for your strengths. We'll get to this too. So intelligence can be trained. You can take on exercises, whatever you want. You can train your IQ logically, mathematically. There's different type of intelligences. read about them. There's not just a logical and mathematical one. There's a practical one, there's a creative one, there's an emotional one. I mean, there's many different types of brains out there, many different types of intelligence too. Attention can be supported by, I don't know, brain dumping, what you have. If you have a lot of thoughts in your head, if you have difficulty in having a structure in studying, maybe you can put alarms or stuff like that, or timers to, motivate you. Sensitivity can be a limit, but also a superpower, this deeper empathy. I mean, be aware of the context you're in. Maybe if you have a hard time embracing yourself, is also because you're in the wrong context. So change the environment. It changes your perception of life. The emotional regulation altogether can be learned too. You can learn to regulate your symptoms. For example, these elements that, for example, this anxiety or this sadness that you might have, you can regulate it by, thinking about what you're grateful for, the things that went well during the day and why they're good. Or grounding yourself, breathing in, to taking on relaxation exercises, for example. The neurodiversity can be channeled through things, maybe passion projects or depth into things you're an expert about. And you can learn to treat your disorders if you've been diagnosed with something. It is very cool because you can learn eventually even to have a good life without the need of medical integration. So in this case, in some cases, we get the integration of medicine, so drugs like psychiatry and psychotherapy, usually in clinical psychology, psychotherapy is the best way to treat any sort of issue, psychopathological issue, but simply also in case it's very strong and it needs a support through medicine. But I mean, you can treat yourself and you can allow yourself to have a better functionality. So in life, so the clay doesn't change. It doesn't change at all, but the sculpture does. But the thing is, you're both the artist and the art. As put by Carl Rogers, in fact, the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. Your unrepeatable self. I'm not going to stress this enough. Has never been and will never be another you ever in life. There's a combination of traits, of experiences, of strengths, of perception that is unique in all human history. Some people think, oh my God, I mean, there's so many of me, I'm just the same as somebody else. No, we all have a superpower. As I've said before, Picasso said the gift is to give it to the world. You need to find your superpower. You need to go for your strengths, what you're really good at. And sometimes, crazily enough, we find ourselves into situations that don't allow us to be ourselves. Or maybe we think we are acting as ourselves, but we're really trying to, get validation from a situation. Maybe we're in the complete wrong context. Maybe even our family can be in the wrong context. And eventually, in time, we might have to understand that we are not who we think we are, or what our family thinks we are. We have to do this separation, and by doing this, we need to embrace ourselves. So this is the first step, this first separation. Sorry, parents, if you guys are listening, which is fundamental to allow your kid to express their full potential. Thing is, the world is not waiting for a perfect copy. Perfect is an idea, it's subjective. Perfection is absolutely invented. Perfection is subjective because you are yourself and you have to become yourself. You can be your perfect self by embracing yourself. That's the hack of life for me. So look, we have to celebrate our uniqueness. The world is richer with you in it as long as you embrace yourself. So you got yourself, right? Who you are. Now let's get you and put you in the world. The context is everything here, guys. A trait only has a meaning within its environment. So you're anxious, depression. I mean, the same teen can be too much or too little in one classroom, but can be completely gifted in another. I mean, have you ever been in a class where you did extremely bad and you simply had an incredibly hard time, and in another, I mean, it was just easy. Maybe you have strengths, or you have a personality, or maybe the educated, the system that you're learning from has a certain type of structure that doesn't allow you to flourish in a specific way, or maybe allows you to flourish incredibly. And this is beautiful. It is important to understand that, to find your strengths and use them as what they are. And even if you find yourself that you're not capable of doing some things, that's no issue. A problem in chaos, for example, can be a resource in creativity, and vice versa. I mean, some people can be creative and be very functional in determined settings. Some people can be very logical and mathematical and can be incredible in certain settings, maybe not in both. Maybe logical is not the best thing in creativity, or maybe yes, depending on your brain, your capacity, and your nature, and vice versa. So you're not a label, you are a person in a situation, and mental health means finding where you fit in all this. So the context, where you are, there's no message within the context. If you say, if you spit in a country, for example, in China, or you spit in America, it's seen differently. If you burp, sorry to use these examples, in a country, I don't know, India, or if you burp in China, it is different because it's seen different. So the trait, even what you have, an anxiety, can be dragged into another context, even if it's not functional for you anymore. Because your brain has no time conceptualization. It feels like it's all the same. So you need to constantly make your brain understand that you're in a different situation, and you can relax, and you can boost your mood. And you try to regulate yourself through that too, by understanding yourself. So this is mainly for parents, but kids too. We all learn through imitation. Consciously and unconsciously. There's a very famous experiment. It's called the modeling from Lawrence, if I'm not mistaken, with ducklings. The ducklings, newborn, copy the mother duck exactly for what she does. I mean, the mother duck is born, and the duckling come in, and they just copy what the mother is doing. So they did this experiment where they got like robots, and they put it next to newborn ducklings, and the ducklings copied exactly what the robot did. I mean, it's crazy. You do this because, I mean, you got to learn to exist, to survive, to be in the world. And that caregiver is going to give you that support. It's going to give you that survival element to survive the world. And the thing about is that we cannot be always conscious of what we do. And this goes for your parents. This goes for you too, teens, but mainly for parents. We can never be super conscious about everything. If you have ever driven a car or anything, you probably, or walked around, you notice that you can always not be aware of everything around you. Some things you will miss. Maybe you will dream about things that were there before. So that goes into our subconscious, things that we're not conscious about. If we are not aware of what has happened to us, of the pain, we might simply act the same way in reaction to the pain that we have had from maybe our past. That could go for your grandparents to your parents. And the thing about is that even parents don't pass this pain, maybe to be perfect, maybe to be super efficient, maybe to be that you gotta be angry in certain situations, maybe that life sucks. Parents don't do this because they want to, or working all the time. I don't know. They pass it because it's the only language they know. I mean, they are who they are. They're human beings. Incredibly enough, you might be very angry at them or not. It's what they do. But awareness interrupts this transmission. In fact, it allows parents to heal their wounds despite them wanting them or not. If they can't and don't want to heal, you need to separate and eventually build your own life and understand that your parent, that's his history, their history. You can't do much about it, but you can work on yourself. You can't go blame your parent forever, despite you knowing that this can be painful. So also, dismantling your parent is healthy because it allows you to rationalize where you come from, so you can, identify yourself well. So awareness also allows teens to, in fact, inherit strengths and not just the struggles of the parent. So it allows you to give you space to embrace yourself and everything you are. And eventually, you become yourself, not the substitute for someone else's unfinished story. So if your father or mother wanted you to be an artist or wanted you to be a doctor. I mean, it's their story. Let them talk. Let them be. If they wanted you to marry some, that is a little different. But I mean, job-wise, for example, try to find what you like. I mean, and even if you did even if you were forced to do a job, find whatever triggers your passion, whatever makes you alive too. And that includes, arts or hobbies, anything that makes your heart beat, that makes you feel good about yourself. Maybe it's a strength that you have that is particular, drawing or poetry or whatever, acting or you name it, art in general or whatever, sports. So symptoms as a survival strategy. Nature of life holds both light and darkness, joy and pain. And we adapt to survive. Like a cactus in the desert grows spines. The spines aren't the problem, the desert is. So an arid and an environment without emotion becomes the issue that brought to some degree the cactus to build those spines. But healing isn't removing those spines. It is realizing that you're no longer in that same desert and that learning new ways to protect your nature despite your armor. Now, these symptoms are elements that allow you to solve the pain that your body does automatically. Anxiety, for example, if you have a mother that is super present or a father that is super present, you might feel, oh my God, asphyxiated. Oh my God, I can't breathe. It's too much. So I need space. So you might develop this strong anxiety. So maybe you have to rationalize this situation a little better. Or maybe if your parents weren't emotionally or physically available, you go through withdrawal, or simply you avoid the situation because you've learned that that's the way for you to protect. You protect yourself. You can control the situation by distancing yourself from the situation. Or you can be very perfectionist. If your parents have taught you to be super perfect, this and that, you probably have learned to be perfect 100%, the best at everything. And that might be a way for you to get validation, to get support, to get loved by someone. But you have to love yourself first, not be perfect. And perfect is within the eyes of the beholder. And anger, if your parents haven't understood you, you can be very angry when people don't understand you, for example, or your parents have issues with anger, you bring that into the world, etc., etc., etc. So these are not character flaws, they are natural. They are an adaptive strategy for survival in the world. So the path to purpose. So we're moving to purpose now. Growing up is not about becoming numb. It's not about becoming strong all the time. Yeah, I'm an adult. Yeah, now I gotta be this, that. No. Achieving perfection. No. Growing up is about staying with your emotions. Yes, it's about finding a job. Yes, it's about doing this, but it's also embracing who you are. If you become numb and you be strong all the time, you got to be a man or you got to be a woman, it makes you different from who you are. You put an armor on instead of embracing your nature. I mean, I'm not saying to not protect yourself. You got to be learning to protect yourself from life. But putting an armor on can be quite problematic in time. Functional, maybe in some parts, in some moments, work-wise, for example, but dysfunctional in many others. So growing up is actually staying with your emotions, with what you have, regulating them, not eliminating your emotions, embracing them, taking care of them, and accepting your structure, what you've been given to, what you have, even if that structure includes neurodiversity, chronic challenges, mental health conditions. Chronic challenges include also medical issues, disabilities, etc., etc., neurodiversity, so a different type of brain, or mental health conditions like, as we mentioned before, chronic depression, borderline personality disorder, you name it, bipolar, obsessive compulsive natures, whatever. So it is like accepting your height, or how you look, or what you've been given to. It is the foundation that you build upon. So it is to be embraced. It is to be accepted. Some people invest a lot of time changing their nature, changing also how they look. It's simply because maybe their parents do it too, but I mean, it still shows how much you're dependent upon others' approval. Because if you truly were okay with yourself, you would embrace yourself, you would love yourself, you would learn to love yourself despite it being super hard, but you wouldn't change your form. You can do it to make it easier, but I mean, you're still giving a lot of space to the outer response, the outer influence for your worth, and you're worthy nonetheless, despite you being who you are. So play. Counterintuitively, I want to say that play is fundamental for us. But not just play like, yeah, I'm going to distract myself. I'm going to play video games. I'm going to do things to not feel. No, play never disappears. In fact, it just changes form. As Winnicott, which is a very famous psychologist, said, it is in playing that we are truly, entirely ourselves. Play is in fact not childish. It is not irresponsible, but a biological necessity of the human being. In fact, genuine and spontaneous play regulates your nervous system. It reduces the rigid thinking. It is the birthplace of creativity. Even for teens, especially for adults, breathe in this playing. Allow yourself to be. They tell you, oh, as an adult, you shouldn't play, or, allow yourself to have that kind of thing. No, it is part of the human experience. There's no hack. There's nothing bad about this. You're growing. You're becoming an adult, so you have different responsibilities, but allowing you to let go, simply allow you to be yourself and even play genuinely is very, very positive for you. Now, playing as a kid, not necessarily as an adult, even though, vices and sex can come in, and these elements can be difficult to deal with, drugs and stuff like this. Know that that's not necessarily play. That's a way to cope with life. Playing is literally this fertile idleness, this spontaneous moment, ozio, what they say in the Roman and Greek culture. It is a play where an essential place where play matures into creativity and self-discovery. So this leisure time, so where you allow yourself to be, look yourself around, transform life. I mean, go do sports, or create something, write a poem, write a script, or act something out, or create something, or play with, math, or whatever you want to do, or design a dress, or anything, or take pictures, or whatever you feel like you want to do. It is a fundamental moment where you're not guided by rigid rules, but by your inner nature. So not to distract ourselves, not to cope with life again, but to give us the space to exist. So purpose is not performance. Purpose is very, very important. It is the effect that people give you. But mark my words, I don't want you to look for applauses here. Because those who seek applauses will die of criticism. So I want you to find your purpose, and by your purpose, that is your values, what you like, what makes you emotionally break in a positive way, not because you need validation, for example, but because you very much feel like that's your nature, as in you feel like, for example, helping people can be something connected to purpose, or empowering others, or fighting social causes, what triggers you from within. And this is based upon maturity. So when you know yourself, you get closer to this purpose, bringing joy through art, music, writing, or building a loving, united family too. That could be a purpose too. It is very personal, and it is fundamental for one's happiness. So it is not about achievement, it's about alignment. How aligned are you to your values? So find your top 3, top 5 fundamental values as a human being in all areas: relationships, love, family. The purpose feels like being in flow, like using your unique strengths. Please everyone, use your strengths. These are fundamental. Because instead of trying to empower your weaknesses, use your strengths, because those are the gifts that have been given to you. Exploit them and go and show them to the world. So Oscar Wilde once said, famous author, be yourself, guys. Everybody else is already taken. Another author states, well, we can say echoes, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment you can ever be. You can even fake being someone else, like wearing a mask, but that can work for a short term. You probably fall into depression, or you not feel good. I mean, it earns applauses, maybe you get an accomplishment and accolades and stuff like that, but it drains your soul. The thing is that your true face may feel vulnerable, who you are, and you probably all know who you are deep within, not trying to be like someone else, but it is the only version of you that can breathe forever. This exercise is a fundamental exercise for us to understand each other. The teacher gave each student a balloon. They wrote their name on it and threw the balloons into the hallway. She said, "Find your own balloon," she said. So when she said that, chaos ensued. No one succeeded. And then she said, "Okay, now this is not working. Try to pick any balloon into the room. Each balloon had a name on it, and give it to the person named on it." And look, within minutes, everyone had their own balloon. In fact, stress narrows our focus to find our own happiness, our own purpose. Connection widens it to help yours. And sometimes, I mean, to find yourself while helping someone else find theirs is the only thing we can really do. In fact, what I want to invite you guys to do is not to chase happiness. It is to help someone else find theirs. And you'll probably discover that your own is floating right beside it. If people ask people that like you, or more than anything that you trust, ask them truly. Ask them what are my strengths? What am I really good at? Be honest. And probably they tell you, and ask many others, and they will tell you what you're good at or you're less good at. And when you find your strengths, maybe those are the things that align with who you are, and maybe you should pursue those. So we're almost done here. Anti-fragility is a concept that is pretty much an evolution of what is resilience. So the young oak fought with the wind with strength and broke. The old and wise willow bent and integrated the wind and was transformed. The oak, which is a tree, is fragile. It resists and breaks. The willow is resilient. It bends and survives. But there's a third way. There's anti-fragility. So the anti-fragility doesn't just bend or resist. It uses the storm to grow stronger. Use your traumas. Use your whatever has happened to you. Use everything to morph it into life. Use your pain to create. Use your don't suppress it. Don't deny it. Denying it and suppressing it can only make it worse. Embrace it. For example, a tree can deepen its roots because of the situation, or thicken its bark. You need a change and become tougher and stronger. Embrace these emotions, but also allow them to teach you what life is. Allow them to inspire you. So mental health is that foundation. Regulation, for example, breathing through stress, like pausing, for example, or awareness, noticing these thoughts without judgment, or spot patterns that occur, things that repeat over time early on. So maybe you can learn that maybe you don't have to repeat, but evolve. Or self-compassion, the self-modeling that you have. Be kind to yourself, like a friend would, like to a toddler, a 2-year-old who's learning. Be very, very loving to yourself. As put by Viktor Frankl, everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, and that is to choose one's own way. So I know we're almost at the end. I want to conclude with this final question. If you stop trying to be someone else's version of okay or perfect or yeah, I should be that. If you stop performing and started being yourself, that uniqueness, unrepeatable self, who you are, if you embraced your unique operating system, as in your inherited patterns, your survival spines, and your capacity for play, who would you be? If you let go all of these things, I should be like this, I should be like the cool kids, I'm the cool kid, I should be like, I don't want to be a loser, maybe I should be like a famous doctor, I should be like that, I should be like my parents. If you let go of all this, drop that, who would you be? What would you do more of? What mask could you finally take off? Maybe you're wearing a mask. Maybe you don't know that you are. Your symptoms, anxiety, panic attacks, can probably signal that something is not good. So understand you. Those are signals that there's something to understand. Your body is giving you an alarm. Listen to these. Listen to yourself. Listen to your body. Listen to your psyche, your soul, your brain. And how would the world be different because you show up as you? Because this is the most beautiful gift you can ever give to anyone. The world in general. Yourself. Because you are the beauty that you already are from the start. And it's fundamental for you to learn calmly and patiently to fall in love with your soul and who you are given day one. It's a tough one. It's not an easy quest, but you can do it, and it's a continuous job, so a continuous work that one can do and has to do in the course of life. But the moment you embrace your purpose, embrace your life, things will unfold by their own. You'll start working in flow, and you will be capable of withstanding life's setbacks and situations better, because you'll simply be more stable and be more yourself and feel better. Thank you. I'm gonna close this up. Sorry.
Thank you, Federico, for such an insightful session. I'm sure many of us are already having many answers which we were looking in for. So thank you once again. Everyone, we are starting a quick poll. Please take the poll, answer some quick questions. So Federico, you mean to say before judging anyone else or judging yourself or tagging yourself, we should know who we are and what we want in life. So for example, we can take your example. You were into direction, you did some acting, and then you got into psychology because you have a family which is already into it. There are many psychologists you already have in the family, and this is how you kept exploring yourself after every span, when you wanted to explore more life and your who you are. So I think this is the biggest thing for all of us, to understand who we are, what we want, like Federico mentioned, without having standards of what is the best, without trying to find out the perfection in everything. I think being original, being you, and getting better every day with that intention is something which we all should go ahead with. So thank you once again, Federico. It was a lovely session. I think we should move to the questions now.
Thank you, guys.
So I'm reading the first question for you, Federico. There is one parent here known as Satvik Jain. He's saying, my son is having lots of trouble in writing, distracted very much, otherwise he's having perfect IQ.
Mm-hmm.
So it's saying, though, that what he is trying to say here, that the son is having a good IQ, but he remains distracted.
Well, that maybe if the perfect IQ means maybe he's bored. Maybe he's not liking what he's doing at the moment. Now he needs to find something that makes him. Is there anything that really gets his attention? Anything that pushes him to do something more? I mean, yes, he's 14, so he's growing. His body is changing and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that happen when you're a teen, and this can be traumatizing, guys. It is traumatizing for girls and boys, because your body changes, you start having these sexual things, and then there's kids, there's comparison, and you're shifting into this new version of you. He is probably changing. He's it's not necessarily an ADHD. I mean, sure, you can go and talk to a professional that can help you have a diagnosis, but maybe it is, try to see if he's not distracted in other parts of his life. Maybe he becomes super functional in some moments. So that is to be understood. Maybe I don't know who's writing this, if it's a mother or a father, that relationship maybe is very strong, maybe too strong. Maybe he's trying to separate himself or herself from his family. I mean, it is also very normal. Maybe pushing him is not the best thing, but I mean, as long as he doesn't flunk, I'd say giving him the space to be is also important. Let's not forget that too. And it's easier to just tell them to be.
Okay, thank you for that question. I think you got the answer. There's another student who's asking, Federico, that I often get distracted. His name is Prasanna. He's saying, I often get distracted while studying and would like to understand why. Additionally, I usually feel stressed or down before an exam. Even when I'm fully prepared, I feel scared. So, can you help me to like how can I focus more?
Well, stress is real. I mean, you get stressed from life, and it can be very, very tough. So there's a very important element that I feel is sensitivity too. One has to embrace. I mean, I don't know if it's for both of these guys. There's tests to understand how sensitive you are. It's not very common. It's not very included into psychiatric diagnosis, but it is part of your human experience. It is a basic human trait. Maybe it's very tough for her to study, and when you get to that situation, I mean, it just kills you. So it is to understand that she has to learn to regulate herself. For example, she can take breathing exercise or relaxation exercises before taking on the exam, trying to do things before, allow her to have a beautiful sleep, to understand, recognize the situation. You're not gonna fail in life, even if that exam doesn't go well. Does this exam change? I mean, try to make sense of, rationalize the situation per perspective. Is it gonna be different in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years? Try to make sense of that and embrace your emotions. Talk out loud, write, talk to someone. Know that you will be fine and that you have your back, despite this going badly or not. And I mean, you can perform so much well when there's a calm and warm setting, rather than a competitive and demanding one too. And this really depends on who you are.
Great. Thank you. So now another student, Urvashi, she's asking, how can I escape from the unwanted situation where I'm feeling angry and stressed in classroom, where everyone started pulling me down and making me feel sad? So how to escape a situation which is uncomfortable? And I think that is what she's trying to ask.
Okay, this is a beautiful question and it's very personal.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate this. As in, that could be very, very different from one person to another. Why you're in that unwanted situation, usually when there's something out there that we don't like, it's pretty much your psyche pretty much telling you there's something in me that I don't like too. I mean, sometimes there are parts of the world that are projected. There's a thing that's called projection, that you project to the world. So try to understand, what is it about them that I don't like? Because maybe you're fighting something of the world that you don't like, maybe that you have a hard time embracing about yourself. And this makes it hard for the situation to be fluid and to feel good in that situation. This, of course, we have to note maybe bullying and stuff like that. But before, blaming everyone or avoiding the situation altogether, try to understand what emotions you are feeling in that situation. What is that sadness? What is it saying? Try to express it. Go to someone who can understand you, because the moment you express yourself, you will understand yourself. You will learn, especially with a professional. Sorry if I have to, let's say, celebrate psychology and psychotherapy, but or counseling, if there are people who do this job, it is for a reason. The school counselors probably, or something, or some people, or a parent, or a brother, or a cousin, or a friend, or yourself, or ChatGPT. But be careful with ChatGPT, or into artificial intelligence. Try to understand yourself and take your time to stop and listen to your soul, because it's telling you so many things, and it's giving you signals that something is wrong. Maybe you're probably trying to understand yourself in that situation. Maybe not all the situations are the ideal one, but I mean, try to understand. Maybe this thing will happen in another environment. So the better you understand the situation thoroughly, the better it is for you and your future.
You. Now, Mr. Yogesh is asking to what extent has social media affected students' interest in serious academic studies? So I think everything has its good and bad side of it.
Mm.
Maybe uh, I don't know how would you answer this, but what I think that we have to have windows where our students can be at social media. And what do you suggest, Federico?
Well, thank you for your for what you're saying, Tulika, because I agree with you. I mean, social media is incredibly functional to connect, but it can be so bad because you become the
Yeah,
victim of the algorithm to some degree. Now, we could say that the algorithm is so smart that you are able to let's put it this way, they're able to understand the subtleties of your life and so give you what you like, manipulate you psychologically speaking. Sorry if I use these words, they seem malignant, but I mean, social media don't give a damn about anything. They just give you, you become the if it's free, you become the cost. Your
it's a
brain,
drug. Yeah, yeah,
and it's a drug. It gives
yeah.
anxiety, depression. Let that go. Let that go. That judgment. I mean, you don't need to numb yourself through these social media necessarily. Look at them every once in a while. Limit that consume time, and then give yourself the possibility to do other things, to live life. Don't
Discipline
just
can help. I think to a large extent to discipline
absolutely.
yourself. Yeah. So thank you for this question and your answer, Federico. Another question coming from a student called Apurva. How does teen self-discovery vary across different social, economic and cultural contexts? I think, okay,
Go
yeah,
go.
Federico. So this is a what yeah, that's it. That's the question is how does
Okay.
teen self-discovery vary across different social, economic and cultural contexts?
Yeah. So
Uh,
I this is should I go?
Yeah, please, please, please.
Very good question. Very good question. It is fundamental to to understand how culture. Remember, in the presentation, I mentioned context. How context can change. How context affects the message. I mean, a message can completely be different in a context than from another. If you say hello in a place like in a classroom, and you say hello in a place like in a court, it can be completely different. It can be lived completely differently. Paraverbally, there's communication is both verbal, paraverbal, so the tone of it, and also nonverbal. 80% is nonverbal. Now, the culture is fundamental because the different social or economics, cultures, or contexts change the way people see life. For example, economic. If you're richer, you are more prone to situations where you have to make profit, and usually making profit doesn't go well with emotions. Mark my words here. Making money is not necessarily mental health well-being. This doesn't necessarily mean that you should let go of mental health to embrace an economic element, but it is, once again, to embrace your nature with who you are. And that also includes your well-being, because even though a lot of people might seem well and everything, they can actually be suffering a lot or can have a severe pathological psychopathology and be very functional in what they do and very famous or very this and that, but they might be suffering a lot. So culture also changes the way the situations of life, the way you express your emotions, to how, for example, in men, how sensitivity or the emotional expression in men can be seen in a place or another. Same goes with women, or the identification with the woman, with the caring about being a mother, being this and that. I mean, there's a rigidity of standards or whatever. The point is that we can always try to be super innovative and go for freedom, but I mean, we will never know. The truth is that you need to find the right environment for you, but also be aware to not necessarily run away from who you are. You can move around, try make your experiences, but yeah.
Thank you. Now, another question we're getting from a psychologist here, Federico. She's asking, she's Nishita Bakshi, and she's asking, I'm a school psychologist. Many parents these days are scared of being assertive with their teenage children as they are worried their children might engage in self-harm. These children then create trouble in school. How to handle the situation? I think it is a very, very important question, Nishita. So self-harm in terms of not getting, you know, the same point of view as your parents have and not seeing eye
Yes.
to eye. Yeah, yeah. Yes,
Yes.
Federico.
In
Yeah.
this specific case, guys, if for those who are listening here, these are traits of what we could, I don't want to make a diagnose, but I mean, these are borderline personality traits. As in, you cut yourself, you harm yourself. This is fundamental because you want to feel something because you can't feel yourself. You numb yourself to the extent that you have to do this to allow yourself to feel because the context, and this is very, very in relation to the parent, didn't give you that understanding. So, what to do about this is to, first of all, embrace your emotions. The fact that you didn't have that safety as an individual needs to be changed, as in you have to give that stability to the person. You have to show them, first of all, teach them how to ground themselves. That is to go through mindfulness or simply grounding exercise to regulate that anxiety or those depressive moments, regulate that anger with these bursts of anger. Do not self-harm. I mean, you're probably doing it because they want attention, because they were simply not seen. So it's automatic to self-harm when you feel like you're not seen. So somebody has to see these people, because from the moment that you give this light to someone, this capacity, this possibility to be seen, they will flourish. Plus, borderline personality usually very dependent to others. So be careful, because to parents mainly, and mainly to parents at this point, but I mean to the students, they have to learn to take care of their wounds. This act is saying that they need this to do this. What else could they do? What are things that, allow them to not do this, to stop this act? What are the resources they can have? What do they want to do in life? What are their objectives? All in all, I mean, there's many different things they can do rather than just self-harming. If their parents don't understand them, I promise you guys, if anyone is live here, others will understand you. There's people out there who will understand you. So just find the right people and talk to them about your feeling. I hope this passes through.
Yes.
Welcome.
A very common question after that. We are going to start taking the video questions here, Federico. One very common question asked by many of the students here. They're asking that, most of them are asking that if they are not in a comfortable situation, either they are around people who are not liking them, not approving them, demeaning them, or maybe they themselves are not very comfortable in atmosphere, how to cope such an atmosphere. So please, this is I think I'm representing many questions here in one go. Different students are asking the same question in different languages. So yes, Federico.
So it is to be, let me understand the question. Is it to be accepted, you're asking, in different contexts?
Yeah. So what, like, for example, one student is saying, I take a lot of stress and think about others, like how much they have prepared and talk a lot negative about me. Maybe when the surroundings where people are not accepting you, they're not approving you, you're in an uncomfortable situation, or maybe you are yourself not comfortable with what you are. How to cope with that situation and how to avoid these, circumstances.
Yeah, first of all is to, thank you for this clarification, Talika, you're fantastic. First of all is to understand that the context you're in is not the final context you're in. The environment you're in can change. You can change too. Life is much richer than what you think. Even if the stress is very, very high, even if you don't feel accepted for who you are, even if you're doing your best, etc., etc., etc. Now, to cope, and this is not a word that I love, more than anything, to survive, maybe at this point, is to, first of all, trying to be very, very compassionate to yourself, very loving, very understanding that you're doing your best. If you're doing your best, hopefully you're doing your best, as in you're living. You're giving yourself the possibility of living and not just, being low mood and stuff like this. If you give yourself this possibility to embrace yourself and to be nice to yourself, you can probably increase the quality of your life. You can, first of all, you can journal, for example, to have a better understanding about yourself. Journal, this is very famous in cognitive behavioral therapy, but in general, journaling, today I felt this. Try to express your emotions, throw them out, talk to yourself out loud. Try to align with your values. Are you working through your values? Are you being okay with the situation? If the situation is stressful, take note of that. Be kind to yourself. Give yourself time to relax, to not go into that hyperactivation, because some situations can be very activating. So your nervous system becomes very, very active. So you need to let that parasympathetic, the opposite of the sympathetic, which is hyperactivation, go, so you can allow yourself to relax and calm yourself down. So to regulate yourself, also through relaxation exercise like autogenic training is a very famous one, or meditations too can allow you to cope with the hyper stress, but also learn that social interactions are very good to have a social circle with whom you can talk to openly, a loving one, hopefully, and do the things that you love, your passions that maybe make you feel good, that make you feel alive. Try to diversify what you do in your life to increase the quality of your life altogether, and not just
Thank
one
you
one
for
thing.
this answer, and thank you for the question. I think, like you said, Federico, maybe you're not the right plant. You are the right plant in not the right soil. So maybe you need to find your soil where you belong to, and not judging
Yes.
yourself. And is the one of the biggest thing which we all should do. I
Yes.
think that would help. And approval is not required. Maybe if we're looking for everyone's approval, I think that life would be very, very difficult that way. So we are starting here taking some video questions. We have many students who want to come on screen and ask their questions. So we have Achyut here. Achyut, thank you for joining us, first of all. Which school you're coming from, Achyut? You need to unmute yourself, I guess. Achyut, unmute yourself, please.
He's not able to unmute himself.
You're not able to unmute. How is that possible?
Write that question for me. I'll
Can you please
reply to
check why he's not able to unmute himself?
There will be a dialog box on your screen. You can just click on it and unmute.
Yeah, you unmuted. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Achyut. Thank you for joining us. What's your question?
Thank you.
Which school you are from? First of all, I would like to know.
Ma'am, I'm from Tagore International School, Jaipur.
And what's your class?
Ma'am, I'm in class 10th.
Okay, please ask me.
So, ma'am, my question is that now, like after 12th, we have to choose our career. So, like often I get very confused. Like I have two thoughts in my mind, like whether to join the Indian Army or to become a CA. So often many people suggest me. Some people suggest me for joining the Indian Army. Some people suggest me for CA. So I'm in such a dilemma that I'm not able to decide what to do.
Okay. What is the CA? Sorry for my ignorance.
So CA is a basically like chartered accountant who manages all the accounts in a company and all.
It
Amazing.
is a career in finance,
Gotcha.
Federico, in India. Yeah,
Gotcha. I was actually
yeah,
once an accountant too, dear. Achu, right? Sorry for my pronunciation. Is that right?
yeah.
Achu?
Yes, sir.
I was actually once an accountant too. I'm thinking, why would you want to join the army?
Actually, like I am from like my childhood, I've watched many patriotic films, and like I have that feeling that I can serve the nation, but I have also that confusion that I may or I means the army may or may not choose me because of my height or something, any physical conditions.
Hmm. Okay. Well, the army, I guess, is a career choice. Now, one thing we can do, especially at your age, is to understand that people have what is called experience, especially adults. So, at this point, it is fundamental to be careful in what you're doing. Of course, an accountant is a less dangerous kind of work job. So at this point, but it can also, working in the army can be a job too. But I mean, why do you want to be an accountant? Why do you want to go to the army? Do you want to go in the army because you want to be maybe seen? Maybe you want to get confirmation. Maybe you want to express your anger. Maybe do you like fighting? Do you like this? Why do you want to be an accountant? Do you want to, is there a mission for you? You want to take care of people with their invoices, their finance in general? What are the motives that bring you there? What would your parents want? What would you want? What would is the content, is the culture influencing you? Is the politics, are people influencing you? Is the social media algorithm influencing you, or is it something that you want to? What are the motives that bring you there? And trying to ask an adult, make pros and cons about the situation, and understand that you can change career, and you can embrace yourself too. Of course, if you study, that will stick with you forever. It will be something that you will carry on forever, and it will be good for you, and you can have a beautiful future, and you can learn to embrace yourself in all the moments of life. So it's really about understanding why you want to go in some situations, knowing that some people have the experience, as in maturity, simply time to see, maybe you should take this choice rather than the other. Usually the parents have a good intuition about this, but be careful in what you do, because I mean, the army is the army, huh?
Yes, sir.
So self-analysis, research, and support of a career counselor. I think all three things are going to help you finally to choose
Wonderful.
a right career, Achyut.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Thank
Thank
you.
you. So you
Yeah.
hope you got your answer. Thank you, Achyut. Thank you for the question. Next, we have Deepthi here. So can we have Deepthi on screen?
Ma'am, it's Dipit. Good morning, ma'am.
Dipit. All right. Thank you, Dipit. Thanks for joining us.
Ma'am, I had a question that how do natural differences like time management skills and academic talent affect peers? Why do many students fear maths? And is it okay to leave it after 10th grade? And how should teens handle toxic friendships? Like we always talk about how people are in a toxic relationship, but the thing that we never talk about, like friendship, it is a common aspect for many people. Like many people are not in relationship, but everyone are have in the what we say in friendship. And is psychology a good career choice? And what age should one get a electronic device? Because we live in a world where electronic devices are so useful, but at the same time, it has a lot of cons.
Okay, so what exactly your question was, Dipit? Federico, did you get what exactly? You're confused between the career choices. That's what you mean to say, Dipit?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, many students have the same question. Yeah.
Career. This is a very delicate moment in your life, Deepit. So I mean, it is a moment where you need clarity. Clarity, as in allow yourself to understand that maybe math isn't. Despite math being famous for being, you got to be mathematical. Some people simply are gifted in certain things like math. Some people are gifted into something else. Maybe they lead, for example. Maybe they're good in I don't know, finance, or maybe they're good in politics, maybe they're good in geography. I don't know. The point is to find your gift. Find what you're really good at. What are you passionate about? What would you search in your spare time? That makes you feel good about. That makes you, just make you want to do it. There's a thing. It's called ikigai in the Japanese term. Ikigai. It is a combination of what you know how to do, what is accepted, the world needs. If you're getting paid, and if you're good at it altogether. Or the Greek called it eudaimonia, so the demon that you follow. The point is to find that, and when you find that, go and express that. So ikigai and eudaimonia, look that up into Google. Also, the math, you can be very good in many different aspects. Toxic relationships. Look, toxic relationships are probably frenemies, what we call friends and enemies. Maybe we're dependent upon their approval. Maybe there's elements of our parents that we haven't digested, that maybe we're trying to be accepted, or maybe have company to be with. And these people can help make us feel good in a way, but bad at the same time. So try to understand the nature of the relationship. Is that relationship good for me? Is it activating me? Is it causing me anxiety, stress, or is it calming me? Sometimes our nervous system, our body is so habituated to comfortable into activation rather than relaxation. So try to understand that maybe even though you might feel good in that situation, maybe you don't feel as good. So, but the point here, sorry to have to point that out, is that we learn through mistakes. We got to make mistakes. So the more mistakes you do, the more mistakes you do, the more you will understand. Of course, parents or adults can help you make choices. Maybe she's not a good friend, he's not a good friend. She's not a partner, he's not a good partner. Whatever. The whole point is that you have to learn it the hard way, knowing that you're attempting to live. There's no trick, there's no hack through this. So try and see try and give yourself the possibility to make attempts to live.
So if you want to learn swimming, jump into the swimming pool, dip it. That's how it is. Do your analysis and find your goal, find your purpose, right? Thank you for your answer, Federico. Thank you for your question, dip it. We are going with Vachi now. Vachi, what's your question? Thank you. Which school you belong to, and what's your which standard you are in?
I'm a 9th grader student from Modern Vidya Niketan, Arapli Hills. And first of all, I would like to say that was a very informative session and a rather reflective session. So the question I have is that I believe that there are two types of pressure. So, a pressure which helps you to grow, and a pressure which, drafts you from your actual personality. So how do you strike a balance and differentiate between this good and bad pressure?
Question. Thank you.
Vaki, this is a beautiful question. First of all, nice to see you. The good and bad pressure. Once again, right, as with Deep It before, we need to try to live and see what best suits our soul. First of all, try to understand what pressures you're getting. Are you getting pressures from, and let's go back to the biopsychosocial model, you're getting pressures from school, for sure. Your parents, for sure. Relationships, for sure. Traumas, for sure. Trying to discern, what is that giving me? What is this giving me? What are they telling me I should be? What is this telling me I should be? Social media, it changes. The algorithm changes. Beware of this. It changes, it morphs into your behavior. It reads your behavior. It's very, very smart. They invest a lot of millions into that. So be careful about that too. Try to educate yourself, learn, expand your knowledge. Try to, take your time to make experiences, good and bad experiences, because those can in fact be your best teachers. And you'll eventually find what you love and what is good for you, really, and bad for you. If it makes you feel bad, probably it's not very good.
All right. Thank you, Federico. Thank you, Vachi. Thanks for your question. Thanks for joining us. We are taking the last question of this session, Federico. We are about time. Though there are many of these students who have questions. So we are, Verchaso, thank you for joining us. Which grade you are in and which school you are from?
Yeah, I'm in ninth grade. I'm in MVN Faridabad. So actually, I had this question for quite a lot of time. Like, I'm having this trouble. Like basically, I had this question from a very young age, that what to do with this compulsive rumination that we are having. What to do with this compulsive rumination that we are having in day-to-day life events, like when we just generally want to enjoy that event. Like we are constantly ruminating about the result, but we are not really able to enjoy the process. People say that we need to enjoy the process, but sometimes it is just not possible to do that.
Thank you for sharing this beautiful and intimate question. Compulsive rumination these are traits of perfectionism, as we've mentioned before. Usually, these are very much connected with anxiety, and has an anxiety-based, fear-based system. So there's probably a lot of fear that you might have in this situation that is not conscious. It's probably unconscious, that allows you to be very obsessive and try to look for this perfectionist thing. So one thing you can do is to really much understand the nature with your mother, believe it or not. So you have to start to separate yourself from this person, for example, not to let her go completely, but to, you're an individual. You're growing into an adult now. You're into high school. You're growing into a beautiful young man that you are. She is your mother. You are yourself. She probably has positive traits for sure, but also negative traits too. So try to understand both sides of the equation for her, and try to rationalize this person. This rumination, it is a way for you to control your fear, because the more you think about stuff, it goes back to a primordial element. The more you think you are in control of the situation, but it's not. It's your way, it's your body trying to survive. So also embrace fear. Fear, my dear, as a fun, yeah.
So, sir, I had this question. Like, how do I know that I'm not mechanically putting myself into this rumination? Like, how do I know it is already subconscious? Like, if I'm sometimes you get a grasp of a situation and you just start ruminating on it, but sometimes it is unintentional. Like, I want to stop this, but I am not able to. And the thing about this rumination is that the fear is very likely, but it may not happen.
Well, if you're doing it and you've been doing it for a while, maybe it's something that's been up into your brain for a while, right?
I'm not saying that this is generally happening to me. I have seen a lot of people around me and my friends especially. I'm asking on their behalf, and so that I can tell them also.
Sure. So rumination and thinking about things are very much a survival mechanism. So it is very normal in many different ways, in many aspects. It can take a lot of forms. You can be obsessive about the craziest things in the world, from being clean to having relationship kind of anxiety, sexual identity, any kind of things. It is very normal. It is treatable, but you will probably stick with it forever. As in, you will probably have with this situation forever. But you can learn to embrace it. Just like as any other situation, you have to learn to embrace who you are, given the psychopathological way your brain, your body gives you the possibility to exist in a world. That can be also functional. Rumination can be, perfectionism, obsession can give you order to some degree. You can channel that into a way, but it is very much about that rumination, that specific rumination that you have is giving you a signal of something that you need to take into consideration. As in, maybe it's a something that you have to work on in general. If it's cleanness, for example, like cleanliness, maybe it's about being invaded by something else. So you need to try to have control of that. If it's relationship, maybe it's the history of relationships you might have in your past, given your parents. These are elements that you find to survive into the context that you are. You have to go talk with professionals that can help you maybe decrease the anxiety for sure, and maybe talk you through the nature of your relationships with your parents. That a lot of the elements of a lot of your parents are within you, because you're an individual born from them and that has grown with them too.
Thank you, Urchas, for your
Welcome.
question. Thank you, Federico.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. I think many of us got our answers, though I understand many of us are still looking for more answers. So what we can do, thank you, Federico, for your time and being here. I think many of us are having so many other questions. What we can do here, Federico, we can pick up 10 more questions and we can get back to them later, because it is not possible for us to, go ahead with the session now. We are about time. Thank you very much for being here and for participating in our master classes. I would quickly yes. So I would quickly inform you about our next session, which is on 30th of January. Federico, we are coming up with another session, which would be taken by Vanessa. And this is going to be based on how to respond, not react to your child's behavior. This is going to be our next session. Federico, I would love to share this with you, that we are having participants from all parts of India, starting, maybe you're not aware of the cities I'm mentioning here, from Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Chennai, Nagaland. There are so many places we are getting these students from, the educators, from the parents, from. So we are so thankful for the speakers like you and Vanessa for our next session, who are giving us this precious time and coming for these sessions to help these students with so many questions they have in their minds, so many confusions they have in their minds. Our joint effort is just to help them with some of the questions, and this stipulated time we have here for these sessions. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you, everyone here.
Yeah. I hope I was helpful to any of you guys, and I wish you all the most beautiful things ever, forever.
Thank you. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you, Federico, for joining us once again. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye-bye. Thank you.